South Point offers all the types of entertainment you'd expect at a first-class Las Vegas resort. Did you know our 400-seat showroom is one of Las Vegas's top destinations for live entertainment? Enjoy live performances by classic Vegas entertainers, bands, and today's hottest comedians, plus a rockin' dance floor. You can also enjoy live entertainment at the Grand View Lounge, where you'll feel all the vibes of old Las Vegas. Enjoy the music, and if you love to laugh, don't miss The Dirty at 12:30, our very own free comedy show. Every Friday night at 12:30 a.m. in the Grand View Lounge. The Dirty is 100% free, so arrive early. Go to southpointcasino.com or call the box office at 77136 for today's performances at the showroom and the Grand View Lounge. When you're ready for your favorite cocktail, stop in and unwind at one of our 7 specialty lounges. There's a bar around every corner, because you're in Vegas, baby. South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Here we go. Welcome in, everybody. Packed show here on Sports by the Book. We are live from the South Point Hotel and Casino. Thanks for being with us. We've got college football, some NHL to talk about, college basketball, a little NBA. We do have the NBA Cup happening tonight and lots more. Second half of the show, we will go over some NFL. We'll give you our top 10 power-rated teams going into Week 12 in the National Football League. Thanks for being with us. Kenny White next to me. To my left, I'm Alex White. We've got Andrew, Ryan, and Vince all working behind the scenes. And yeah, a full hour. Let's start with a little bit of news around the leagues. I want to start this new little segment because there's some coaching changes happening in college football. And we do like to monitor these because sometimes we can have a little uptick in that team going into the next week. Or maybe some of these teams are just ready to start over new. So these are courteous of Pete Thamel on X, and Charlotte has fired their head coach, Biff Poggi. We also have FAU no longer has Tom Herman there. Any thoughts on either of those two?
Well, good morning, Alex. We've jumped right into it, and we will get to the NFL game because I'd like to discuss that. I'm a week late, and the kind of game played out maybe the way I thought it was or could, the options. But first, Biff Poggi, he was an investment banker, and he decided to go into the college football, and he was an associate head coach at Michigan for 2 years, and then Charlotte hired him. What? Are you kidding me? Did he have like a track record as a head coach somewhere before this in a life that we didn't know about? I have no idea. Whoever hired him at Charlotte, there should be an investigation because maybe it was his best friend or something from high school. I don't know. I have no idea how you could hire somebody who's never built a program before. If he would have interviewed with me, I'd have said, go find a high school job and run that team for 3 years and see how you do. You're not running Charlotte, University of Charlotte. There's no chance. So that one is no surprise to me. Their offensive coordinator, I don't know who they gave the job to, but their offensive coordinator, Mike Miller, was 4 years at Maryland as an offensive coordinator, and their defensive coordinator had coached with the Baltimore Ravens for a couple of years. So these are guys that have coached in the business and probably deserve the job more than Biff Poggi did.
What about Tom Herman with FAU?
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Tom Herman had a really nice career at Houston and was the underdog king where his teams could rise up, and he had the greatest underdog record there was. He was 22-4 in his 2 years there, and again, I don't trust coaches unless they're at a spot for 5 years and I see them go through their entire recruiting class. They do it with their players, not someone else's players. And he went to Texas, went 32-18 in 4 years there, and they gave him the boot, and they didn't like him because he was arrogant. And now here he ends up at Florida Atlantic and not being able to do the job at Florida Atlantic. I'm not sure why. I have no idea why. You hear different. There's coaches have lives just like we do, and you never know what's going on in their life. I can't think of the coach's name. I shouldn't even mention his name. But there was a coach at a major university last year or 2 years ago that was let go because his team wasn't playing very well. And inside information, he was having an affair on his wife with a student at that university and had an apartment right next to the campus. So, you never know what's going on in people's lives and what they're doing, and if they're completely focused on the job. So,
well, I did just throw this at you. We'll talk about it more and see if we have any, if we think it'll impact the games coming up. But Ball State also fired Mike New, and then last UMass, which they have been struggling all year. Don Brown out there as well. But I do want to talk about last night's football game, the Cowboys and the Texans. Pretty impressive win for the Texans, 34-10. They did cover that 7. And it did play out just how you thought. That first half, the Cowboys kept it pretty close. They were playing to win the game, miss field goal. So go down by 7 going into the second half, and then you could tell the whole game just kind of flipped right there. So here we are with Dallas. No Dak Prescott. Cooper Rush did the best that he could. We did not get to see Trey Lance in that game, and now it's just a question of where we go from here for this Dallas Cowboys team.
I found kind of an irony, a little funny. Don Brown got fired and Biff Poggi in the same day. They were together at Michigan 2 years ago.
Wow.
And Don Brown is in his 3rd year. So it was a 1-year lapse that they were together in Michigan. So
So that's part of the reason why they did get these jobs coming from
Jim Harbaugh, and coaches get those jobs, and it's so amazing that happens sometimes because they weren't the guy. They were just part of that, success, and they may not have been any part of this success. So interesting. Mike New was in his 9th year at Ball State, and he's now had 8 out of 9 losing seasons.
Wow.
All I can say is I don't know what took you so long, Ball State. After 5 years, I give you 5 years. I will give you 5 years. Mike Krzyzewski for Duke, Hall of Fame coach, no longer there. He lost his first 4 years, I believe, at Duke. He did not have a winning record, and then built Duke into a national powerhouse. Last night, I'm a week late after I adjusted my NFL ratings this morning and made a little aggressive, move on the Cowboys. With no home field, I would make Houston 7 in that game now. And like yesterday, I was trying to say, I don't know how I can get to 7. Well, I figured it out after Houston, beats them badly. That is, the reason. I did not see any score until the 3rd quarter, and it was 17-10. And I thought, oh, interesting, they're in it. And I went back and looked, and Houston scored the first 14 or something like that, and then Dallas scored 10. One was a big play to get them back in the game, but those count too. And I thought, well, they showed. When I saw it was 14-0, I thought, oh boy, they give up. And then I saw the 10. I thought, well, they didn't give up. So they are playing hard. They just need to get a break or two. And then I kept flipping back and forth, and I saw, fumble return, touchdown. There you go. You lose the turnover battle. You can't take care of the football. You're going to be in trouble. So, a lot of that has to do with lack of discipline. Penalties, false starts, offside, fumbles have lack of discipline, and that comes from the coach. And that's why I thought we would be talking about Mike McCarthy being fired today and not Biff Poggi.
I do not believe we have any breaking news for any NFL coaches yet because we were expecting maybe a couple going into this week with the way things are going with Jacksonville and now with the Cowboys. So we will keep an eye out on that.
And all things change differently in situational stuff. because we're talking about a quarterback in Rush for Dallas who filled in a couple of years ago, 3 or 4 games, and Jerry Jones was bragging about the guy and how he could keep us upright, and he did. And then Dak came back. I wonder if the news Dak being out for the rest of the season hit hard to the entire team. That news of, oh boy, we've got no shot. I mean, they probably like Rush, but they know that there's a big drop off. There is a 4-point drop off in talent between those two guys to the betting line, and I'm wondering if that news hurt the team's performance in any way.
Well, they have had a lot of injuries, and then they had 2 more offensive line injuries throughout that game. So next man up, but I mean, Cooper Rush was still sacked 5 times, so it was a struggle. And Dak struggled this year behind their O-line, so it wasn't going to be easy for Rush just to jump in there and accelerate a team that was already struggling.
I looked at, and at that time I looked when it was early third quarter and Houston was driving up 7, how many sacks Micah Parsons had, and I was really surprised to see he only had 1 tackle, and that's all he had for the entire game. He must have re-injured himself and missed most of the game, I'm guessing. He couldn't have been out there very much to only make 1 tackle.
Houston getting healthy.
And you know what? I would say this. When I did the year that Micah Parsons came out of the draft, I had more inside information that Penn State was going to be the happiest team in the country, and Dallas was in trouble because Micah Parsons was the worst locker room guy there was at the Nittany Lions, and he was not a team guy, and this was probably a bad draft choice by the Cowboys.
I mean, he's had a little bit of controversy. He has a podcast now, and he does kind of air out a lot, but...
Yeah, well, I was told this when he was at Penn State. They threw a part when he said, "I'm going pro." They threw a party.
Do you really trust
the entire university threw a party?
Do you trust
that he
Penn
was
State
leaving
in that locker room?
The person who told me was good information,
okay.
And I trust him. Yeah.
So Houston Texans getting healthy. They have Tank Dell and now they have Nico Collins back. So their offense was clicking. Joe Mixon, we did talk about that in the rushing yards. And I think he had 3 rushing touchdowns last night. We did not have the anytime touchdown for him, which we should have. But while we're here, should I switch it up? Do you want to just go with our top 10? Or do you want to stay with today's action?
No, let's go into today's action.
Okay.
Let's pick some winners after last night's debacle. I mean, fortunately, when you're busy sometimes, it's a good thing that you may miss something. And I was so far behind all day yesterday that I never bet the props on any of these players. I would have bet Rush under passing yards. I would have bet Stroud under passing yards. I would have bet Joe Mixon over rushing yards. That was an easy winner. I also mentioned I thought CD Lamb receptions and yards were going to go over because that's the guy they had to throw to. So may have broke even on those props, but I didn't bet it. But I did go in with a Dallas plus 7.5 ticket for a 2.5% bet or 2% bet, but that was a loser, and I had a feeling that. And when I said it yesterday, I said I should just get off the 7.5 and go bet a small bet on the money line because you're getting such a big price if you feel that way. And I was right; it could only go 2 ways. Dallas was going to win, or they're going to get blown out.
And you did give that as your dog of the day for punchlines, but you had some winners in NBA. So, I mean, speaking of dog of the day, Clippers, you liked them at getting the points against Golden State. They won outright 102-99. There was another one in there too, Miami Heat, which a little bit of a shocker. Embiid did play, even though he was doubtful, and Miami Heat, they still won 106-89. So that was an easy winner, laying the 5 there. So I credit you there because I did jump in on NBA.
Well, thank you. I liked Houston as well, getting points from Milwaukee, and they lost by 1 and led most of the game. I guess in the second half they had the lead in that game, but the other ones interesting scores. Yeah, Clippers I thought were worth a bet plus the points in that game. So yeah, it wasn't all bad. Women's college basketball was a little tough yesterday for the first time. It's been very, very good, and we've done very well in it. Yesterday, a couple of tough losses in the afternoon. kind of stung for the day, but we'll rebound and do better today.
There is a really big basketball game, men's basketball, Purdue at Marquette today. I do want to get your numbers later on that, but let's start with some college football. We do have 3 MAC games. 2 of them pretty intriguing. One of them, I'm not so sure about. Kent State and Akron. Akron a 10-point favorite. I'm not sure they should be that big of a favorite over anyone, but we'll get your thoughts here. Let's start with Western Michigan at Central Michigan. Now, Central Michigan, they do have 7 losses on the year. No chance for them to get a bowl game this year. Western Michigan on the other side, 5-5. They are trying for their 6th win. They are a 6-point favorite now, so people are taking the points here with the dog. Total 56.5. Let's break this one down. Hayden Wolf, quarterback for Western Michigan, been very good for the Broncos. And then Central Michigan on the other side, they've had their injuries. I believe they're on their 3rd, if not 4th string quarterback with Jaden Glazier. He has played in 2 games now and 2 tough games. Bowling Green, where they lost 23-13. He played fairly well, though. 8.1 yards per attempt, 71 passing completion. And then Toledo, one of the top teams in the MAC, they lost 37-10. So now coming into this one at home, taking on a pretty good Western Michigan team, but they are definitely better offensively than defensively. What are you expecting to see in this game?
Big rivalry game. I would expect that Central Michigan keeps the game close. Western Michigan is a team that got off to a great start because they played a really soft schedule. They played Ball State, Akron, Buffalo, and Kent State, and that was just kind of a very cupcake schedule. But their last 2 games here against Northern Illinois and Bowling Green have been much, much more difficult. 2 losses in a row. Maybe they lose a little confidence. Central Michigan, as you said, with 7 losses now, they're out of it for the year. No bowl game, so each game kind of now is their bowl game. I just didn't make it that high. I don't have that big a difference. Western Michigan, I have a 96.5 rating. Their performance rating has been a 93, and Central a 95 rating, and their performance has been a 95.5. They've performed right there. So Central's played the much more difficult schedule. As a rivalry game, I think that Central's in the game. This game did open 9 at the Circa and was bet down to 6.5. So
That's a pretty big swing.
Yeah, really big swing this late in the year. But it's a big difference for me this late in the year to have that big a difference. Now, obviously, I could make a little bit of an adjustment. There's no revenge factor. Western won last year 38-28 at home, so there's nothing to factor in for that team. I did make the total 65, and in kind of a more of a meaningless game, except for Western needing it for a bowl game. And Central would love nothing more than to try to keep them from getting a bowl game, So I know they'll play hard. I think offensively, we could see some more points in this game because when both have played lesser teams, when they weren't playing Miami of Ohio or Bowling Green or Northern Illinois, they were putting up a ton of points. And even Western Michigan against Northern Illinois came 42-28. But their scores in the MAC have been extremely high. Their median score in the year, Western Michigan 34-31. So I think this could be a little bit of maybe a shootout.
I'm with you. I did make this game 58, so a little bit of a lean to the over. It does just worry me a little bit because these MAC games, this is already a pretty high total for a MAC matchup. And when you look at how these teams play, a lot of them are run first and play a little bit slower, and these two are no different. I think they're both at 60% run, right?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they're ranked 24th and 25th in the country in run. So, and it is a rivalry game. So again, it's a small play. It's a 1% play for me. It's nothing I'm going to go out and say, man, this is a great play. And again, manage your money. I'm not going to go out and bet more in any game today to try to get the money back I lost on the lousy Cowboys.
And unfortunately, like you said, you could have got more points. So liking the dog here now at 6, missed the best of the number. It would have been nice to get at least a 7.
Oh, it's down that low. Yeah, it's down to 6.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I agree with you. Kind of missed the market, I think, at that point. So, why, you're betting on a bad team. I don't know Central Michigan. I don't have a feel for the program right now where they're at with Jim McElvain. You would expect this guy to win and take them to bowls every year. He was at Colorado State and Florida before he came to Central Michigan. So they had hopes he would take them to bowl games. And now that they're not, I got a feeling there's somebody else on the chopping block because he's been there 6 years now.
Well, but like I said early when I started this breakdown of this team, I mean, going through all the quarterbacks that they have definitely.
True.
So they might give him a little bit more time.
Oh, they could. Again, like I said, I think 5 years is enough. When he first got there, he won 9 games, and maybe that was with the other guys' players. He won 3 the next year, and then 9.
Wow.
So he won 21 games in his first 3 years, but then has won 4, 5, and now here we are this year. What's he won 3 games? So 12 wins in the last 3 years. Not where you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be going up, 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 and away.
It gets tougher and tougher for these MAC programs, though, doesn't it? Because if you have great players, they're just getting poached by these bigger universities. And now with the transfer portal, they can just move. And these guys, want to play in the SEC. They want to play in the Big Ten. So if they get offers, they're going to jump pretty quickly.
It does go the other way. These guys are able to get guys that did not get playing time in the SEC or Big 12 or Big 10.
Very true.
They weren't playing. They weren't happy. They want to go play somewhere. These coaches can find those type of players too. So it goes both ways. This is really a fertile recruiting ground for football in the area that they're in the Midwest, kind of Ohio and Pennsylvania area. That's football territory. So these teams have they call this league the coaching cradle because there have been so many famous coaches that came up through this league because it's such a football area. They have 2 sports. They have spring football and they have fall football. That's all they have in that area. That's what they love. That's what they do. And there's plenty of talent. These are good teams. As I said, I think in 2021 in my magazine, somebody called me and said, looking at your top 50 quarterbacks and you got 6 MAC quarterbacks in the top 20. I said, I do? He said, yeah, you got 6 MAC quarterbacks in your top 20. I said, wow, they must be really good this year. And they were like doubting that was the truth. 5 of those 6 guys are in the NFL.
Wow.
So this isn't a league that's lacking for talent. They have some talent. It's obviously not, top 4 major conference talent, but there's some good players in this league.
Let's go to the next game on the board. We'll kind of go through this one quickly. Akron, a 10-point favorite over Kent State. Kent State still has not won a game yet this year. Total 49.5. First thing you brought up was the difference here in quarterback play between these two. Yeah,
Ben Finley, the starter for Akron, he's in a 6th year. 3 years at North Carolina State, or 4 years at North Carolina State, 1 year at California, and now he's here at Akron as a starter. He's played big-time football in the ACC and Pac-12. Tommy Oltowski, the junior, took over as the starting quarterback midway through the year for Kent State, and he's done a decent job. His stats are actually his yards per pass and his touchdown to interception ratio not bad. It's his 43% completion percentage that really hurts, and I think Ben Finley, looking at kind of the schedule that he's played, I think this is a game that, he could break out because he's played against some of the better teams in the MAC, now playing against the worst team and big rivals. These two are only 10 miles apart. So they don't like each other, these two. This is the biggest game of the year for both teams. Akron could run this score up just in the fact that they're the better team and the better head football coach. Joe Moorhead was a head coach at Fordham for 4 years, went to Mississippi State, now here is at Akron, and I think he'll build Akron.
Still 10 points. That's a lot here.
That's a lot, and you're asking a bad team to win, and again, they'll be happy to win by a touchdown. I have a 10.5 point difference between the two teams. You can't give any home in this game, and Akron did win last year, so there's no revenge. So no, I'm not betting it. There's many better games to bet. I would, if I made the game pick and thought it was a great bet on Kent State, I would say this is one of the best games to bet, but that's not the case.
Well, and Kent State, as I mentioned too, trying to get their first win, so this might be their best opportunity.
Yeah, you have that going for you that you're playing your rival. You're you're playing hard. You got an opportunity to win one and get off that goose egg. You're definitely going to try to do that. I worry about Kenny Burns not being a head coach at any time. It's part of the job of knowing how to keep your guys up even when you're losing.
Right.
Because when you're losing, it's not a good atmosphere. The vibe is bad in the locker room, and it just leads onto the playing field.
Let's go to a really good game we have tonight in the MAC, because Miami, Ohio right now 5-1, three-way tie there at the top of the conference. Northern Illinois, one of the best defenses though in this conference. They're just 3-3, but it should be a pretty close game. Miami, Ohio, just a 2-point favorite at home, and this is a very low total for a MAC game, 42.5. As I mentioned though, Northern Illinois, known for their defense, great defense. Miami, Ohio has been extremely well on that side of the football as well. So 2-point favorite. You have any strong feel on the side?
I made Miami of Ohio 5.5. I have them a 3.5 point better team and only 2.5 for the home field. Two very, very good defenses and two teams that have shown in their median scoring, both median out to 20 in their games. So this is going to be a close, tough fought battle, and I like Miami, Ohio. I've got them rated higher. Their performance rating is 3 points higher. That gives me even more confidence to bet Miami of Ohio in this game.
What about the total? And I like the under. I know you do as well. Can you find any reasons why we shouldn't bet this under 42.5?
Offensively, Northern Illinois 108, defense 83, so their defense is better. Miami of Ohio 89th offense, defense 74. Their defense is better. So no, I trust my number at 37.5 on this game, and 42. I think you can find a 42.5. This game did open though 45.5 and was bet down towards my way.
So in the 6 games Miami, Ohio has played in conference play, allowed just 99 total points. And Northern Illinois, 112. We talked about Northern Illinois last week, though, so it should be a good game. We talked about them playing to the level of their competition, and that's how they were able to upset Notre Dame earlier this year. But it's been very inconsistent for them since then.
Yeah, no doubt, man. That shows you the talent of their defense, though, to hold Notre Dame to 14 points on the road. We've seen that defense, step up all year long. Even against North Carolina State on the road, 24 points they allowed. So we know the defense is going to be good. Miami of Ohio is the same way. They held Cincinnati to 27. They held Notre Dame to 28. Interesting that both teams have played Notre Dame this year. So Miami of Ohio can complete that A beats B, B beats C, C beats A.
Any plays in these 3 MAC games that are going to make your board, your top 3 plays of the day?
Yeah, I'm going to put Miami of Ohio.
Okay.
That's my one play, putting on the board. I love the boards. We're going to go on record.
And I'm going to go NIU, Miami, Ohio, under.
And we get to show off our great handwriting.
Oh, gosh.
On the board, Vince.
Okay, let's take a quick 2-minute break. When we come back, we're going to go through your college basketball numbers like we do, see if there's any differences. We're going to go through my hockey numbers, see what plays I like in that sport, and maybe a few NBA.
Yep.
And then we will get to some NFL. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Sports by the Book. We will be right back.
South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza. We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or, if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south of the border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside.
Welcome back, everybody. Sports by the Book here at the South Point Casino. I'm Alex White alongside Kenny White. We're going to get to some today's action on the hardwood, some NBA and some college basketball, and then we will get to the ice with some hockey games. Dean Hilt, Bill Kelly, Vince. Thank you, everybody who is in the chat. I guess we have some news here with Jets GM Joe Douglas was fired this morning. So as we were talking about news around the leagues, that is some news right there. Okay, that was for Jeff Parles, which you can find him 5 days a week here on Sports by the Book as well. Thank you so much for the game request already. We have two of them. I love it. We have Indiana and Ohio State, which we did plan to cover in tomorrow's episode, and USC and UCLA. But let's get right to it. Let's get to some NBA Cup. I teased college basketball and hockey, but we're going to start.
Hey, in the game of the year
with the
tonight.
Association. It is the game of the year.
The best game. I mean, the Cavaliers, what a great start to the season. They had a really good team last year. I love the overall talent of this basketball team, and they're getting respect. And they should be. They're a good team. I've loved their inside defense. They got the two big guys, the two rim protectors in the middle, that really, are tough if trying to get to the basket against Cleveland is tough. But their offense has been their strength this year, led by Donovan Mitchell, and he's a true superstar in the NBA now. Donovan
Mitchell has been playing limited minutes because they have been blowing teams out. Expect to see him a lot more today, right? So we have the Boston Celtics hosting the Cavs. They are a 5.5-point favorite at home, the defending champions, and they are playing very good as well. 3 losses on the year. They have lost 2 at home already, and the Cavs undefeated still, 15-0, 7-0 on the road. Cleveland really good against the spread too. They're 11-4 so far this year against the spread.
Who do you think's playing better basketball?
I think the Cavs are playing better basketball.
They have to be at 15-0. Plus, they have that playoff revenge. I think this is, a game that they've been pointing towards, and even though they've been pointing towards it, they still continue to win games. I think they're right now just as good a basketball team, and maybe a little more highly motivated than the Celtics are. Because the Celtics won the championship last year. So I made the game 5. It's right there. But if I take the 2.5 for that revenge, I've got a 3-point play. Give me Cleveland plus the 5.5 points.
It is hard to pass that up, right? With how well they are playing now. I will note, because yesterday I did go through the efficiency. So Cavs 6 offensive efficiency right now, and 7th defense, and then Celtics number 1 offensive efficiency and 3rd in defense. But they also have strength of schedule on there, and neither of these teams have played a very tough schedule so far.
I'm surprised Cleveland's not number 1 in scoring efficiency. I thought they would be the way they've been scoring this year.
I don't know. It might have to do with the strength of schedule, even though it says Celtics are 30th right now and the Cavs are 29th. But yeah, Celtics number 1 right now, and the Cavs not far behind though at 6. So like the points there with the undefeated Cleveland Cavaliers at Boston. How about the Charlotte Hornets? 1-5 on the road straight up this year against the Brooklyn Nets. The Nets though right now 10-3-1 against the spread in all of their games. They are laying 3 at home, 221.5.
Yeah, I think that's the right price. I like what I've seen out of both these teams, really, for teams that are, below average basketball teams. I think they both have played hard to start the year. Charlotte's had a couple of injuries with their center, Mark Williams, out. He's a 2-point guy, but Ball's been very good. I think Brandon Miller continues to improve, and they've got great range with those two guys shooting the basketball. Brooklyn is, kind of another rebuild, and Nick Claxton's out. That hurts them in the interior. He's their center. So my number pretty close though, right to the betting line. I don't have a difference. Let me get you that number. I had to hide a column to get there. 3-211. I made it. Brooklyn 3-211.
3-211. So a little bit of a lean to the under here. With
those two teams. Yeah, I'm surprised it's that high. I really am surprised it's that high. I don't think you get pace, and you're not going to get great offensive efficiency. Now, you could get a game where, like I said, Miller and Ball go off, and they can't miss from 3-point range. But Brooklyn's played solid defense this year. They wanted to run beginning of the year. Their head coach said, we're going to run, but that stopped right away because they knew they couldn't keep up with the best teams.
Are you surprised by these numbers? So next game on the board, Denver Nuggets and the Memphis Grizzlies. The Nuggets 12th offensive efficiency and 17th defensive efficiency, playing the 20th hardest strength of schedule. Grizzlies 21 offensively, 11th defensively. So we do have Memphis favored at home, 4 points and 227.
Yeah, that interesting. Both these teams are going to be challenging in the West if they stay healthy by the end of the year. John Morant needs to get back on the court, obviously. Zach Edey has an ankle injury, and that's why maybe he didn't play as much in the last game. I told you, I said, he didn't play much, and now he's coming off the bench instead of starting.
Yeah.
And I like Zach Edey, and I think he's going to be a really good pro player. He's a hard worker, and you can't teach size. Jokic was out the last game, one of the most valuable players in the entire NBA. I've got him worth 8.5 points to the betting line. I've never had players this important to the betting line, and it has shaken out. Their backups are just so bad. I think the NBA has gotten to a point where they've had to pay their stars so much that the next guys down, they haven't had the money to really pay out to the next level player. So big difference.
Yep.
So what they do is they go to a lot of rookies. So most teams, the backups are all rookies or first-year guys, and they don't have a lot of experience, where it used to be in the NBA, if a star player was out, guy coming off the bench has been in the league for 6 years, and he was ready to go.
Right.
Now these rookies are trying to step up and do the job, and they can't do it.
Well, what about when he's a walking triple-double? It's kind of hard to be a backup for him.
Who can do that? You're right. So thanks for making the case for me that he is that valuable that not many players can put up those type of numbers. He is a true box score stuffer.
So nothing in that one, right? Grizzlies laying 4 at home. Let's go to New Orleans Pelicans at Dallas. The Mavs, pretty impressive numbers here. 3rd offensive efficiency and 8th defensive efficiency. Laying 13, if you like that home team with the Mavericks, and the total 222.5.
Well, this is a name the score game for the Dallas Mavericks. They have all the talent. New Orleans' offense is out. Their entire offense and their defense. When we have no Zion, no Murray, no McCollum, no Jones, and no Alvarado, who's very unsung. Alvarado stepped in nicely at guard when they needed him to, and now he's out. Again, they go to a rookie who has no defense and has trouble scoring because doesn't have the experience to play in the NBA. So I made the game, what's my number here? 17.
Wow.
In 197.5. So what are we looking at? We're looking at 12s. Opened 11, went to 12. It's headed in the right direction. I think the total may be more interesting going under 223. I just don't know how the Pelicans stay up without all that firepower on the bench.
They do have better defensive numbers than offensive numbers so far this year. 4-10 against the spread. The Mavs haven't been great, though. 6-7-1, so just right there. Let's go to the Thunder at San Antonio. Now, I did hear Wemby was doubtful, and we did see Embiid play yesterday, even though he was doubtful. I doubt that will happen here with Wemby, and the number is telling you that as well. OKC, 9.5 on the road, another 222.5.
Yeah, Wemby will be out. Boy, you got both teams rim protectors. Holmgren out for Oklahoma City and Wemby out tonight. I've got him worth 4.5 points, and I got a great rating on him. I love this guy and think he's going to be one of the best players to ever play in the NBA because I've never seen a player his size do the things that he can do. I have Oklahoma City just 5 though in this game, and 226.5. I lean a little bit to the over there, as I said, the 2 rim protectors out. But again, I do like I like the roster for San Antonio, and think that there's a chance. Well, I probably didn't take off. Let me see if I made an adjustment for the home advantage, an 8-point difference. It's worth a little more than I thought. I'm going to adjust it 1 more point. I'm going to make it 5.5 and 226. So no real play for me. I lean to the Spurs still, though, plus the points, just a lean.
Let's go to the last game on the board. I didn't skip any, did I? Nope. This is it. Utah Jazz at LA Lakers. The Lakers undefeated at home so far this year, 6-0 straight up. And the Jazz are struggling. 3-10 on the year, 2-5 away from home. What do we make it this line here? Lakers, the book has 11 and 234.
Nothing for me. I have 10 and 234.5 on the game. Anthony Davis probable. He's another one that's worth so many points to the betting line because there's no real backup for Anthony Davis if he goes out. But he is probable. I think there's a foot injury there that we're concerned about. The Jazz were without Lauri Markkanen for such a long time. That hurt them. He's back now, but now Walker Kessler's out. He's their rim protector.
So either tomorrow or next week, we are going to have a guest. Curtis Terry will be in studio. I need to confirm with him. He is former UNLV Runnin' Rebel basketball player. He is now the color commentary for the Runnin' Rebels. Great. And he also has a little insight with the Utah Jazz, so we'll get his thoughts on both college and NBA.
Okay.
I'm trying to find the NBA Cup standings as of right now, but I guess you have to go to a whole different. So, because I gave their records, but I don't really know who has won so far and who's playing for anything in these groupings, but we'll have to look into that. So, as we mentioned last week, NBA Cup games played on Tuesdays and Fridays. So, each of them have played at least one game in this in-season tournament. Biggest game right here, Cavs and Celtics. Though.
Yeah, because the Celtics have already lost a game in the group. They were upset by the Atlanta Hawks. So, but if they beat Cleveland, they own that head-to-head versus the Cavaliers. If the Cavaliers win this, they're probably pretty much a lock to move on.
Yes. So that will be exciting. Do you want to run through your college basketball numbers? Do you have those available, or do you want to hit some hockey for a second?
I have the numbers.
All right, let's pull up.
I wanted to look up real quick if there was a standings for this year's Cup.
Yeah, probably just.
Yeah, there is. The NBA has one. The Emirates NBA Cup 2024. Orlando 2-0 and the Knicks 2-0 in their division. That's going to be a great game when they play. I love it because it's a round robin. Everybody's playing each other. You get these big games. And this one, the biggest. The Celtics need to win here. Atlanta's 2-0 with wins over Boston and Washington. They still have Cleveland and Chicago Bulls to go, but Atlanta could have something to say for this group. Just the fact that they got off to that 2-0 start. And
I remember them doing well in this last year, too.
Cleveland? Or Chicago?
Atlanta.
Oh, Atlanta. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. That's right. No, you're right. I think they did. They did. They had a good team, better team last year than they do this year. They lost a little bit of talent, but keep looking at those games. You want to know when these teams play whether it's meaningful. I think all of these are still meaningful now, But the games on Friday, there could be some games where these teams, it doesn't mean as much to them because they have no chance, where the other team needs to win. And those are really good situations to bet. The line will move in the direction of those games.
And it will move pretty early, too, right when they open those. Let's run through our college basketball numbers here.
Let me get to the sheet. And then you can give me the line, or I'll give you the line and let you know what I made it. We'll run right through these pretty quick.
Okay.
Bowling Green, I made 8 and 150.5.
I'm sorry. I actually have college football numbers up here. That's not going to help us. Okay, here we go. Bowling Green, 8.5 and 148.5.
So I'm half a point off on the side and 2 points on the total. And I haven't looked at any of these numbers. Minnesota, 12.5, 147.
15, 132.5.
15, 130, 132.5?
Yes.
You know, I had an over with Minnesota earlier this year. Trying to get to their coaches. And did I put their coaches on here? I don't see that I put those coaches on my sheet yet. I did not. I had Minnesota earlier this year, and this is supposed to be rapid fire, but I don't want to lose another bet on Minnesota, and I've got their page pulled right up. They've been one of the slowest teams in college basketball. I did not expect that out of this team because Ben Johnson, who's in his second year, had a 67 pace last year, had an above-average offense, 58th ranked, and a 115 defense. So I felt like I had a really good under-over number on his team. But I went over in the North Texas game, and knowing North Texas was a slow-down team, and that was 54-51. Minnesota lost the game, 57 possessions. And then Minnesota's very next game, a 54-possession game against Yale. So I'm not sure if Ben Johnson has changed his style of play or if it's just a coincidence that he played two extremely very slow teams and they happen to be very close basketball games, and that's why that happened. Otherwise, this game could go flying over. Donnell Robinson, the head coach for Cleveland State, he'll play up tempo, and he has played up tempo. And again, his offense last year was far better than his defense. So I need to know about Minnesota, and is Ben Johnson changing the style of the play? So I'm going to pass on that total, but I'm glad I looked at it.
Small sample size. We'll keep an eye on that.
Maryland 23.5 and 131.5.
31 and 140.
That's a big number. I would lean more to the total going under the 140 in that game because I know that Maryland plays really good defense and Canisius has a extremely weak offense. Villanova 16 and 130.5. I'm sure I'm going to have it under there.
Yep, 16, 141.
Yep, I do like that game under. Probably I thought that number was going to come out higher than 141, but I still like it under. Drexel 1 and 136.5.
1.5 and 136.5.
Oh, right there. Cincinnati 20 and 125.5.
13.5 and 137.
Yeah, I like that under. Two good defenses. That's the way Northern Kentucky plays, and it'll be a big game for Northern Kentucky. Anytime you play, a Cincinnati, you're going to be up for the game. It's kind of funny that Cincinnati would take this road game. Green Bay 2 and 146.
3.5, 149.5.
Right there. Ohio State 20.5, 137. I'll probably have an underplay there.
24.5, 148.5.
Yeah, I think that's a little high on the total. I will go under. Sometimes those games get out of hand, though, and a team like Ohio State, who plays fairly methodical offense, they like to work the basketball around. If you get to the stage where it's a blowout, then the players start to, play a little more up-tempo and a little more fun style of basketball. Well, coach will allow them to do that as long as they're winning. Wake Forest 17 and 143.
23, 145.5.
23?
23.
Wow, that seems a little high to me. I would look to play the dog there in that game. 23 is awfully high. I have a good feel for both those teams. Central Florida 17 and 149.5.
24.5, 144.5.
Yeah, I thought that could be a little higher. I don't have. I think I may have Tennessee Tech a little overrated, so I'm going to pass that. Here's another game I may have an under. Duquesne 6 and 139.
Yep, 7, 151.
Yeah, I think their new head coach is going to play a little bit more slower than they played in the past at Duquesne. That was Keith Rambot. That was LeBron James's high school coach, and he got a college job out of that and then moved to Duquesne. Notre Dame, 13.5, 148.
18, 146.
Ooh, lean a little bit to North Dakota there in that game.
There's some 18.5s out there too.
That's, I mean, I need to have about a 5-point difference when we get into the teens, but that North Dakota, good basketball team, good conference. Marist, 8.5 and 133.
9 and 137.
Yeah, that's. I bet you that total opened higher and was bet down. Florida State, 7.5, 143.5.
8.5 and 143.
Pass on that. Belmont, 10 and 152.5.
10.5, 154.5.
Right there. Iowa, 17.5 and 170.5.
Wow. 21.5 and 156.
Well, I know I'm going to get Iowa to run. They always run, and they play up-tempo. And Ryder is another team that plays up-tempo basketball, and they run. So the possessions will be there. They need to hit the shots. You know, can Ryder score against Iowa's defense, which isn't, normally the greatest in the league. So, but I know the tempo will be there. So I'm good with the over there. Michigan State, 15.5, 142.5.
18 and 162.5.
Wow. I'm surprised that's that high. I bet that total, I can't believe they would open it that high. It must have been bet up.
Just Michigan, a little, 161 was the opening.
Tom Izzo at Michigan State he teaches rebounding and defense, and that's what he teaches. Samford Bucky McNeil has been playing crazy fast up-tempo basketball, and I did know that. He was there last year, 8th fastest pace in the country, and so far this year, the 3rd fastest pace. So Michigan State, even though he preaches defense and rebounding, he will let his players run. So I may be off on this total. I don't like that one.
Okay.
I'm going to pass there. Missouri State 5, 161.5.
We have a pick in this one and 153.
I'll take Missouri State. I'll take my chances with them. Missouri Valley team against a WAC team. Northern Iowa 12.5, 146.
13.5, 134.5.
Ooh, a little bit of an overplay there. Don't have a feel for either team, though, and when I think about both those teams, I do think about a little bit of methodical play, but I do think about good three-point shooting. Kansas 20 and 162.5.
24, 159.5.
Oh, that's right there. Nothing for me. Louisiana 3 and 146.
3, 141.5.
Nothing for me there. Loyola Chicago 14.5, 141.
15, 148.5.
Yeah, lean to the under, but I don't have a feel for it. No, Southern Utah has a new head coach. Marquette 5 and 166.
5 and 153.5.
Yeah, I went over with Purdue the other day and I got paid. They were playing Alabama. Maybe they have a letdown here in this game. So I do like. What was the side on Marquette?
It's 5.
Oh, it's been bet up to 5?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it might have a play. I didn't think they'd make it this high. But I'll bet the game over. I just won with Purdue over with Alabama. Why not Marquette? They love to get up and down, and they shoot threes.
So Chris did open at 4, and it has been bet up to 5. But
well, Purdue with the upset win over Alabama could be the reason why.
Okay, so over in that one, though, for the big game.
Yeah, over in Purdue, Marquette.
And then 3 more.
Northwestern 15 and 138.
14.5, 137.5.
Right there on the number. DePaul, I made 15 and 147.5.
18, 144.5.
Nothing there. Santa Clara 8.5, 153.5.
Right there. 9 and 150.5.
Santa Clara's 9.
Yep.
Wow, I didn't think they'd be that high. I thought it might have a play on Santa Clara, but
opening might have been 5.
Oh, what it did open 5?
Not necessarily here. 7 here. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I would have liked to play Santa Clara at a lower number. That's it. That's from my college basketball.
Awesome. Okay, let's go through hockey quickly so we can we'll do NFL, give our top 10, and then tomorrow we will catch up with our run, pass, and pace of play for NFL. But let's
ketchup and mustard.
Ketchup and mustard. We'll do NHL for today. Just kind of look at these numbers quickly because we do have ours. I have a few plays that I do like on the ice today.
Okay, you give me your line, I'll give you the line.
Okay.
Make it easy for you.
If I can find that sheet. Here we go. So I actually have Ottawa 113, 6.5 over.
South Point minus a dime each way, 6.5 under 30.
Dang. So earlier this morning, you were getting plus money with Ottawa, even money. I thought that was a good play there. Now at minus 110 both ways. I don't know if that's the play. You do have the better goalie with Olmark than Stuart Skinner, though. So a lean there. I've got Tampa Bay minus 126 and the total 7 under minus 125.
Tampa $1.50, take back 130. So really don't have anything there. The total 6.5. What was your total?
It is 7 under minus 125.
7 under minus 125.
Yeah.
Well, doesn't really think that's a big difference, but 7's a key number. You get a 3-3 game out of this one, and you got an easy winner.
And the Penguins are struggling. They are 32nd right now in goals allowed per game, so no interest in that dog. Winnipeg minus 133, total 6.
You can get minus a dime.
I do like that one. I'm going to add that one to my board. This is these two just played on Saturday. Florida won 5-0.
Oh boy.
But we know how good the Jets have been. They are second right now in goals per game. They're fourth in goals allowed. I think Florida was just trying to make a point that they were still the best in the league.
Little embarrassment factor there for Winnipeg, getting shut out and revenge. I like that minus a dime here at the South Point. The total 6 under 15.
This one, I don't love my number. Wild minus 126, total 5.5 under.
Well, it was bet down. I'm sorry. The 6s are gone. 6 under 15 was the opener here at South Point. It's now 5.5 over 15. So no play there, but that's good. You really want to focus in on Winnipeg. I like that play.
Yes. So Wild minus 126, total 5.5. I don't really have any interest taking the Blues right now either. Wild are playing very good.
Minnesota 165, take back 145 here at the South Point. So you have a 19-cent difference. Really not big enough to really have a play. And then 5.5 on the total. You were right there.
Blackhawks minus 138, total 5.5 under minus 125.
Well, run to the book, run to the window. Not on the side. Chicago 155, take back 135. But the total here at the South Point, 6.5 under. One of the few 6.5 unders in the market, and 6 over 25. I think is more the market number.
Do I want to test it? Anaheim playing on back-to-back nights. They're going from Dallas to Chicago. It was close. It was 4-2 final. They actually beat the Stars yesterday. Different goalie in net, but that could keep us off of that under.
I'll leave that up to you.
I mean, both of these teams, the Blackhawks are 32nd right now in goals per game, and the Ducks are 27th. They did get 4 yesterday, was a backup goalie for Dallas. So, yeah, it's a lean there, especially at 6.5.
I know Chicago's had trouble scoring, it seems like, this year.
Yes. Let's go to the next one. We've got Calgary. I have minus 131 and the total 5.5 over 115.
Minus a dime both ways. So you have a 21-cent difference on the Flames. You're really leaning to a play. 5.5 over 20.
I do like the Flames. I like this next one the best. So I have the Rangers minus 115 and the total 5.5 lean to the over.
5.5 to the over. Again, another underplay for you here at the South Point. They must have gotten some over money. They opened 6 over, bet up to 6.5 under. And they're one of the few 6.5s right now in the market. The side, Rangers 115, open 115, now minus a dime each way here at the South Point on that game. 2
ways that you can play this. You can play Vancouver Canucks under their team total, because the thing with the Rangers is they are 3rd in goals against per game, but they are also 6th in goals for. So this team could score a lot of goals, and I think that's why you're seeing this overplay, especially we still don't have Thatcher Demko. And we've got their backup goalie. I can't remember his name right now. Or Rangers, if you can get them in regulation, you can get plus 130. So I think that's the way to play that one.
So Rangers in regulation plus 130. Good.
Yes. Okay, that's it for hockey too. So a lean for the under in Anaheim, Chicago. I definitely like Winnipeg and a little bit lean towards Ottawa. Top 10. Let's go through our NFL, our updated top 10, and then we will we'll get out of here. We do need to get our boards cleaned up and have our top 3 plays. I wrote down some.
You got a lot of them.
Well, these are your college. I was trying to keep track for you, so you could pick.
You got to get another board.
Yeah.
2 boards. You need. Hold on. I'm going to write it on the window. Keep track back here.
And those numbers are already moving here at the South Point. People are already jumping on these unders. We're going to start with my top 10, so then I can finish filling in your top 10 in this nice spreadsheet here. But I had a little bit of movement. I have a 3-way tie for second right now in the NFL. Number 1 is the Detroit Lions. They were there last week, and now they stay there after a big win over the Jaguars. 3-way tie here at second. The Baltimore Ravens, the Buffalo Bills, and the Kansas City Chiefs. Those are in alphabetical order, not off of my favorite teams. Number 5 and number 6, we've got the Philadelphia Eagles and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Those stay there from last week. Chargers move up a little bit, and the Niners moved down. I believe I had them 4th or 5th last week, and now they are tied there with the LA Chargers at 7. Minnesota stays at 9 for me, and the Houston Texans jump ahead of the Green Bay Packers for my 10th spot in the NFL.
Houston's moving up on my list now. I've got them tied for 15th at a 102 rating.
And you have a 3-way tie for 7th, right?
I do. And I have the Cowboys now, just an update, 31st in the NFL,
Wow.
a 94 rating, 2.5 points better than Carolina. So I actually have an 8-point difference between those two with no home. If I had made that game last night, I would make Houston 8. The adjusted betting line on the boards would probably be 10.5 if they were to put a line up on that game. All right, let's go.
Let me make sure this updates for you really quick. Okay, Ryan, that should be good now, except for this tied here. But okay.
A tie at number 10.
I'm surprised. So you had two new teams jump into your top 10.
Was I counting out loud?
You have 2 teams that made it to your top 10 this week that were not there.
Well, that's nice. I like that when that happens. I have no favorites, believe me. And I have no favorites in the game, except for the 49ers. They are a favorite that I do have many tickets on them to win the division, win the conference, and win the Super Bowl. And I hope that they can still get hot. And I need to go dollar cost averaging. I can go get better pricing now than what I bet already. At number 10, 2 teams tied, Denver and Pittsburgh. Both a 103.5. The Broncos, obviously, there were 3 just massive blowout games this weekend, and Denver was one of them, blowing out Atlanta, a team who I like, and you got to pay attention to it and make the adjustments. So they're moving up. Chargers, a 3-way logjam for 7th for me at a 104.5 rating, meaning they're 4.5 points above the average NFL team. The Bills, they're one up. I'm sorry, Cincinnati is a 104.5. Packers 104.5. Chargers 104.5. Obviously, out of those teams, the Chargers are playing the best, and they just beat the Bengals. But again, at home, I'm making the Chargers the favorite now in that situation. Number 6 is the Bills, standing by themselves, 105.5. I'm still not completely sold. They did play their hearts out, but I got a feeling this week against Indianapolis, they could have a huge letdown. Tied for 4th, 2 teams, Philadelphia Eagles and the 49ers. I do feel comfortable with them both. The 49ers, still a very talented team, and that's where they belong. I still think at the end of the year they could be at the top spot.
Can you tell me what that rating is?
107.5.
Okay.
Philadelphia and San Francisco, 107.5 each. Number 3, Baltimore, a 109 rating. Even though they lost to Pittsburgh, still turnovers cost them in that football game, and it was on the road. They were a favorite. They were a 3-point favorite in that game, and pretty much that's where I would make that line if they were to play again tomorrow. Kansas City, 109.5, number 2, and number 1, the Detroit Lions, after a huge win over Jacksonville, a 110.5 rating.
I think I always get nervous to go too high on the top teams because the Chargers are at 104.5 as well, but they're 7th on my list.
Okay.
And then the Ravens, the Bills, and the Chiefs are all at a 106.5, tied at 2nd. So those
that you're going to be
could
more
slowly
underdogs. That's good and again, I would rather want to be on underdogs as well. I'm just adjusting from what I what I'm reading in the box scores.
And you're not afraid to have a gap here between the top and the bottom.
No, well, no, it just happens when
Right.
a team is not playing well and it shows up, like the Cowboys. I made them a 90. They're down to a 94 rating. They could be worse than that. Again, I need to look. That's a 5-game losing streak. I should probably be taking 2.5 points off their rating just for the fact they're on this losing streak. Teams lose confidence, and when they do, you lose focus, and then you're done.
I have them at a 95.5, but
So you even have them rated higher than I do.
I do. I have quite a few right there. But you don't have the Texans in your top 10, right? Yeah.
No,
so instead of dropping them so low, I did bump the Texans up. So we'll have to see how that.
Well, the Texans went up 2 points in my ratings from yesterday's game, from a 100 to a 102.
Who is your 32nd team?
Carolina.
Okay. Me too.
And then Kent State's 33.
And then Kennesaw State is 34. Okay, that is it for us for today. Quick recap of our plays. We both have a play in Maction. You like the favorite.
Oh, a recap of the 3 plays. Yes. I'll show my board.
If you can read it. You might have to go over it. Miami, Ohio, -2.5. I like Northern Illinois and Miami, Ohio, under 42.5. NBA, you are taking the points with the undefeated Cleveland Cavaliers, +5.5. And then you're going Winnipeg, -110 for revenge there in that game. I do like that one as well. And the Rangers, +130 are the best that you can get in regulation. And then I'll go through these quickly. For college basketball, Pennsylvania, I believe, and Villanova, under 141. Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky, under 137. Evansville and Ohio State, 148.5. Milwaukee and Duquesne, under 151. And then 2 overs. Ryder and Iowa, over 156. Purdue and Marquette, over 153.5.
And if you win all 3 of your games, Alex, you could win a brand new TV.
Courtesy of
your bankroll paying and going to, go to Costco. They're cheaper there.
They are. You can get some good TVs at Costco. Well, that's it for us. Hopefully we can cash some tickets. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Vince, thank you for keeping track of the games that were requested. I know we have 2 from Dean Hilt. We'll check if we have any more in there. Thank you, everybody behind the glass. Kenny White?
I like your new boards, Alex. It's good because if we lose, we can just erase it right out the board. That play never existed. No, it's out there now. I love it that we're kind of, putting ourselves out there. These are our plays of the day, and we'll keep track of them. I think we should. Well,
and we do our homework the night before. We're making our sheets, as you mentioned. That takes the most time, right? And then, so the mornings we're kind of reviewing and going over and seeing if there's any value. So then we got to write them down.
Yeah, I'm a big truster in my ratings, so I trust my ratings. But the more I can go over a game and look through the notes and make reasoning to bet a team or bet against a team or not bet the game, my plays get even that much better.
Yes. So we appreciate you guys going through the process with us. Let's try and cash some tickets today. At 12 noon today, go to Punchlines FN. You will find Frank Nicotero and myself there for Punchlines. You can find that show 5 days a week. We will be back tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. here at the desk for Sports by the Book. We'll see you then. Have a great Tuesday, everyone.